Amanfo, yentimi hwɛ more the month of January and day ewa bra yen can cervical cancer ho asem. That is because globally, World Health Organization are dedicated the month of January as a cervical cancer awareness month. And it throughout the month of January, we are throwing all our energies behind the awareness of cervical cancer. This year 2024, cervical cancer awareness no, the theme you choose learn, prevent and screen. Oh yeah, Bema, don't be in a hurry to shut this video off because oh mama, ebi aware, oh nuaba, oh adamfo baby. Ehun hia se obeti bi. Na nso wa kyerɛkyerɛ wo say de be ya nyina be boy ho ban. So I've got some gist for you. Let's get into it. Now, for cervical cancer, studies suggest that it is the fourth most predominant cancer amongst women. Very unfortunate, cancer. Now, when we talk about the cervix, it is the lower part of the uterus, and I say the womb, which opens at the top of the vagina. The cancer we know is caused by the human papilloma virus, the HPV virus. Any disease which is caused by a virus, no, ni hu hiye pa, enisi yeto tonase. Say bacteria, ne kono enya humte, te say disease caused by a virus. Eniti osi nyina yesu very necessary in these times. Globally, according to WHO statistics, the year 2020, about 604,000 new cases were recorded. Out of that number, 342,000 of them died. Very unfortunate. Which tells you, say, if this condition is not detected early and treated, the patient may lose her life. But the good news is that this condition is 100% preventable with vaccination and then with screening and early detection. So we have regular screening. That's detecting a very early in 100% this cancer is preventable. So what it means is per the theme which has been chosen for the year 2024, we need to learn about it. We need to prevent it at all costs and we need to do regular screening. Now get this, anyone can get the HPV virus. What it means is if you are a man, you are not totally out of the woods. Whether you are a man or you are a woman, you can be a carrier of this virus. And what it means is that once you're a carrier, you can equally transmit it. However, it is usually in women, and as our virus, if it stays for a long time without detection, it can go along and then cause the cancer. The incidence of cervical cancer rises in women when they are 30 years and older. When you're 30 years, your risk of susceptibility rises, and so we need to be extra careful. Now, like all other cancers, the main cause of the cancer is still unknown, but there are risk factors. It increases your chance of getting this cancer, and that is what we need to take care of. Number one is not getting your screening done regularly. It is important. Like I said, when your body when you're 30 years, now you need to regularly get a pap smear done so that CBB it can be detected early. That is one way of getting this disease eradicated. Other than that, if you don't get the screening done, then the risk increases. The other risk factor is weakness in your immune system. Our immune system, as we know it to be, and a fighting against all diseases for us. Now, once your immune system is weakened, and so it's important that we take good care of our body. Make sure say we practice healthy lifestyle. Because the moment you have a life-threatening condition, hypertension, diabetes, all those things, HIV, AIDS, it weakens your immune system. Immune system weakened, then all your defenses are down. It means say any disease including cervical cancer. One thing, anytime say talking about cancer, you mention as one of the risk factors is smoking. There are some people who are addicted to smoking, but if you are addicted to it, then you need to take a second look, then try and get into therapy so that you can do away with smoking. Smoking is one of the things that raises a risk to contracting certain disease conditions such as breast cancer, cervical cancer, all the other cancers. Once you are somebody who is addicted to smoking, you need to be extra careful. It means your chances of contracting cancer, most especially cervical cancer, remains high. The other thing we need to consider, another risk factor, is our diet. We need to eat our food as medicine. And yet, as a human being, we need to check our diet. Originally, he wanted us to stick with the greens, fruits and vegetables. So we need to make sure say fruits and vegetables dominate our diet. The more we eat in oily foods, in block your system, all those things makes you susceptible to diseases. We can immune system, and then such a cancer can troop in. So we need to be extra careful and pay close attention to our diet. Now, the other risk factor, the most disturbing one, is the issue of having multiple sexual partners. A very unfortunate ankasa. The HPV virus, no, it's mostly transmitted through sexual activities. And the unfortunate thing is there are people who have multiple sexual partners. And once you have that, your risk or chances of contracting such a cancer remains high. There are some women or no the onimse the sexual partner oni ni kunu nete. And into ono the otini baby di compare ho asem. But unfortunately, gomo for na yaba na nse no ye chen electric pool area bia ye na supply electricity wo ho. And into on the and one so onam musa baby obeduru bia oje na chi wo ho. And into wo so onam wonam. Na okoka ka ba ka nipa na otini baby na odwen ho no. Okotre na nko akodi ni maku na so la show we na pontirani na ba beti hu fifiri. Very unfortunate, but that is one thing that a hard dream be multiple sexual partners. Of course, there are people who are not married and they are playing around. Who play around? No, one thing you should know, they say, or partner now when have those intercourse, no, or also other partners. And into if you or call those people also have multiple partners. And into before you know it, nipana only nation because of multiple sexual partners into introduce you to a network of sexual activities. Oberhe no akofa no their account. It's very dangerous, Ankasa. The choice of partners that we are having these days and our choice of sexual activities in this day and age and the generation that we find ourselves. There are people who are practicing what we call threesome. Some name partner it's not exciting enough, and so it's about time we introduce another person. And then the three of us get wild and crazy. And then me and sending near wobre concurrently. And the other dangerous one is where married folks practice what we call swinging. And into married folks will have a sex party, and at that party, the way you do baby, you see exchange is no robbery. And into your Timmy cross carpets, my foul, you know, family, near G and Nicole, all with the crazy notion. So we are spicing up our sex life. Very dangerous moves, Ankasa. And that is what is going on in our generation these days. And we need to be extra careful because once you are not sticking to a particular person and on network na baby brain, you really stand a high risk of contracting such a disease. Another risk factor is family history. Yes, ebusuani mu bia contracted such a cancer. Nti se nya ba ne sape bi o ebusuani bia need to pay close attention. Get regular screening done so that BB early detection will save your life. The moment unim se mu family no history no u trace it down the line no bia contracted bia, you need to pay close attention. It means your risk of contracting the disease remains high. Now the next thing is what in recent times they are calling douching. And nyasem ketwa ene yewiase mu ade bia ye bo ho wo sha atade na so chen kakra wi pe na ode akote la ho so mo ho ma eni ntie nei emma no so mo japade no omo bo ho den because you go mo for no so mo pe mo oche. Now the danger is the combination that they are doing, and as a concoction na omo mix na omo de hye ho no ehu yie pa enkrofo de pepre hwentia ne ade ne omo na omo kikabom na omo pia hye ho se de be ya areas ebe chi no wodi nsuo ka ho na hitiri kakra bia na ada ne nkwan ene ya yire ho ni ye pia hye ho se de be ya areas be tighten amana na edura himfie no oje na konwa na otenase a no hu say yes ene ye ba bebu aten de ewom nie se ye kanfo du afro no na ye kanfo achacha nso no mema ne bebe na ye sa akokọ no wodi wie no de na no atwetwiri fo oye de a brantie no obeduru ho na ni beje owewie no ofili de obema fans ebi kura be hye ogbo akese ne ade obeye we nyina wie afi oba beduru fie no na de yare ne nam but se opere kofa yare ba nso a obetwa obodi naturally say the nyankopon about the environment within that area no we are not supposed to introduce any foreign material there. Nyankopon na the natural cleansing organisms ahihye ho moye cleansing no ho adwuma bibia, so you don't need to introduce anything there with the aim say me tighten ho. It doesn't work that way. There are natural remedies with me exercises with me perform if you want the place to tighten up. You don't need to introduce things there. After you cry there almost say kaya mata na aba bedia yanko nti concussion no ye mixe ni omo ankasa tell be ya o ya brand na oduru ho a so wadwen ye so obebu omo kwasia no akọ anim aboa ye be chewa ka ma waka nti ni omo ye kika bom ni epiapia hye ho no very dangerous. At the end of the day yare na obepa ma ho, so we need to be extra careful. Now what are some of the symptoms you see? I bet you wadwen akọ say probably you are developing this condition. The first thing you should note is at the early stages no, usually cervical cancer is asymptomatic. Nti you may not experience any symptoms, none at all, and that is why regular screening, pap smear no, is important. So your healthcare provider can detect it early for you. Going forward, if you start noticing some of these things, then you need to pay critical attention. One of them is abnormal vaginal bleeding in between periods. Wabu unsa busumi ubu ye no nka wo expect say in the next 28 days and the next one beba. When you beba so within 7 days and even 10 days, now another flow ashasi. That becomes abnormal. You need to get it checked. I am not saying say as soon as you see any type of bleeding there, then it means you are having cervical cancer. No, that is not what I'm saying. But if you notice over the period, say your bleeding pattern is so abnormal, especially in between the periods, normal periods number all right, monthly flow number, but in between them, now there are some irregular flows, then you need to get it checked once it is consistent. Aside the abnormal bleeding between periods, you can also notice bleeding after sexual intercourse. When your partner share you, then you notice some bleeding. It's also a cause for concern. You need to get it checked. And then for the older women, after menopause, once you hit the menopause, then it means you are done with the monthly cycle. And kaum bleedy bio. But then after menopause, you realize there are some bleeding which is happening. Definitely you need to get it checked because it is a signal that is telling you that something is going wrong in there. And you need to get in touch with your healthcare provider and get it checked. The other thing is vaginal discharge. And usually this discharge does not stop. It is usually pale. It is usually looking brownish. And then sometimes it comes with foul smell. Who notices don't sit on your horses. You really need to go straight to your healthcare provider and get them checked because it is not normal. There is a normal discharge with every woman. But once you realize discharge, it never stops. Once you realize the color is quite pale, once you realize it's looking brownish, and and then it comes with some foul smell, then you definitely need to quickly get it checked. The other thing is that even though you are having your regular periods, sometimes the periods get heavier and then it takes longer than usual. Within 5 days, this time around, your period so heavy and then it takes longer than usual. 10 days, then you are still experiencing the bleeding. If such symptoms persist, please get in touch with your healthcare provider. Usually, when the cancer gets to the advanced stages, then the symptoms also increases. Then it means that it has now affected your vagina, the lymph nodes. It has affected your intestines, has spread even to the lungs. So through that stage where the symptoms intensifies, and until you experience back pain, you experience fatigue, bone pain, and cancer. There is also loss of appetite. There is pelvic pain, intense pain. All started to experiences and please get in touch with your healthcare provider. It's important. Regular screening is what we always prescribe. Usually when you get in touch with your healthcare provider, the examinations they will perform a pap smear. They will do that frequently for you. So the CBB starting it can be detected early. Depending on your age, the HPV DNA test can also be conducted on you alongside the pap smear. So if there is anything, it can be detected early. If any abnormal changes are found, then your healthcare provider may take a biopsy tissue. So they take it to the lab for further analysis. Then they detect the magnitude of the cancer which is developing. Now, once the cancer is detected, the treatment is usually dependent on the stage of the cancer. It also depends on the age of the patient. All these will come into play. The patient who will desire to have children in future, all that will be considered in the treatment. The health team may decide to adopt the laser treatment. They will just introduce light to make sure they burn the cancer cells. However, with that treatment, the caution is sometimes when the laser treatment is adopted, there is a probability say once the cancer cells die, it may reappear or it may come back. And so the other option may be hysterectomy. And this is where they usually take out the womb of the woman and as in the uterus not entirely. Because like we said, the cervix is the ending of the womb which sits at the top of the vagina. And depending on how advanced it is, the team may conduct a hysterectomy and then take out the womb. If it's very advanced, they may conduct a radical hysterectomy. And they will take out the uterus and much of the surrounding tissues as well so that it doesn't keep spreading. The radiation therapy can be done with low dose of chemotherapy as well. And in radiation, and the neurobic so they be a bit more treaty condition. In extreme cases, the medical team may conduct a pelvic exenteration. I know the nature say it's very extreme. It's an extreme form of surgery. and they remove most of the organs within the pelvic area, including the bladder and the rectum. Not just any condition to the extent say if all those things are not taken out, it will keep spreading and then we'll lose the patient anyway. Now, sometimes there are questions as to what happens in the case that a woman has the HPV virus. And in this case, in recent times, the issue of practicing cunnilingus, aka Anubomsky Tafrimuskovich. Is it Obisachi mostly be na? I'm sure I prefer Anubomsky no. Most of the customer review now bane the dance here say agagavo. Jepo Anubomsky ba correct. Yeah, chimos ni chirema, not just a techremon to me, you conya Teduan to me, and it is a motor choose techremano over Teduano. And it is a say, niggas no so young man up at the momo, that will be done. And in Tia near the anu boom. Danger in recent times where people are practicing wild sexual activity with people you have never met. Because you see a boy sleep with her. Adio moye, engaging with hookup girls. Yeah, or that one's not to say the order ubano. Now, Ubi a winning the baby ada. Now push na because also you pinty na cordial also the one no boom. Hey, a bank pan ocean is en crack ray. Yo coffee ma for no boom ko. One of these is what help a mena potro. Na samasa. Here is the danger. Once your partner is carrying the HPV virus and the two of you decide to practice cunnilingus, what is likely to happen is that if you have any form of cut or sore on your mouth or the mouth region, and because it is person-to-person contact now, you are likely to introduce the virus through the mouth. So we need to pay careful attention and we need to assess our risks. So you need to be extra careful because unim the sexual partners are not what you introduced to. And into going straight with the mouth, not knowing the risk involved. Baby. There is some bleeding in your gum. You are likely to contract the virus, so we need to be extra careful. If you are very sure of your partner, if you are committed to each other such that the two of you are practicing safe sex amongst yourself, because you are man and wife. And not there, some would decide they say more than but once you are not very sure of your partner, because you need to be extra careful. It is dangerous. And then how do we prevent this condition? Make sure you get your screening done regularly. The other step is to get the HPV vaccine. It's also available. Your medical team will screen you. They will conduct all the tests. And if you are a viable candidate to receive the vaccine, they will let you know. If you are someone who smokes, please quit smoking. Let's watch our diet as well. Let's eat healthy food, fruits and vegetables, so that it will boost our immune system. And then going forward, please practice safer sex, because dangerous sexual practices is one way of contracting the disease. I'm on for any no. Bit much share or comment section. Or if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. Tell somebody about this channel and watch other videos here as well. Thanks so much for watching. Au revoir.